Hello dear students. In my last video, we have finished with the variety that is present on our earth. That is, we have studied the number of species present not only on our earth but also we have seen the diversity that is seen in India. We have seen how India is going to be called as one of the mega biodiversity nations of the world because India is covering a very little land area and it is having a variety of species present around it, and because of which it is known as a mega biodiversity nation. Today we are going to be starting with patterns of biodiversity. In patterns of biodiversity, we are going to be studying two patterns which will tell us how the organisms are divided on our earth. We saw in the last time there are many different varieties of species that are present. But all these species, how and where they are distributed, we are going to be studying it today. We have seen India is called as a mega biodiversity nation. India is having many number of species. But why is that India is having many number of species? Let us see today. Here, species diversity decreases from the equator to the pole. So, when we are going to be going from the equator towards the pole, we can see that the species diversity is going to be declining. At your school level, you all must have studied the latitudes and the longitudes. Here, the longitudes are going to be those lines, superficial lines, which are drawn on Earth's axis and run from North Pole to the South Pole in a longitudinal manner. Whereas, when we are talking about the latitudes, latitudes are those lines which are going to be running around the Earth or in a transverse manner. These are going to be called as your latitudes. There are few marked latitudes. The center of the earth, which is considered as the equator, is said to be 0 degree latitude. A little upwards and a little downwards at 23.5 degree, there are distinct latitudes known as Tropic of Cancer in the north and Tropic of Capricorn in the south. Then, if you are going to be going a still more on the top, you can see this is 66.5 degree north, which is known as your north temperate zone, and at around 66.5 south, it is known as the south temperate zone, or you can, when you are going below it, you can call it as the Antarctic circle. This is going to be called as the Antarctic circle. So, in this manner, our earth is going to be divided into various latitudes and the longitudes. They have observed that organisms are found near the equator. Maximum number of diversity is found near to the equator. And in the equator ranges, that is from 23 degree north to 23 degree south, we can see we are having a large amount of diversity of the species. And as you can see over here, India is going to be lying in 23.5 degree north. And because of that, India is one among the mega biodiversity nations with lot of amount of species diversity. So that at tropics, latitudinal range from 23 degree 0.5 north to 23.5 degrees south have more species than the temperate and the polar areas. So in this area that you can see, this area is going to be having more number of species when compared to this area and this area. Then, example. What are the example or what proves our latitudinal gradient? It was found out that when they counted the number of bird species, the variety of birds that are present, they found out that Colombia, which is near the equator, is having around 1,400 species of birds. Whereas India, lying in the tropics, is having around more than 1200 species of birds. But in the contrast, New York, which is at a higher zone, that is in 41 degree north, near the North Pole, it is having only 105 species. Whereas Greenland, a still further one at 71 degree north, is having only 56 species of birds. This showed that near the equator, the number of species are more. And as we are going further from the equator, the number of species are going on declining. This is an example. Other example was the tropic evergreen forest, that is tropical forest region in equator has about 10 times of the vascular plant species as compared to temperate forest region like Midwest USA. So this equator is going to be a small nation which is present near the equator. You can see over here, this is a picture of a equator region of the forest. Herein, this equator region is having 10 times more number of plants, that is vascular plants, that is your gymnosperms and angiosperms. 10 times more number of these gymnosperms and angiosperms when compared to the USA, which is there in the temperate region. Again, this proves that as we are going towards the equator, the number of species are more when compared to we are going to the North Pole and the South Pole. Here, tropical forest like equator, you can see here I was telling you, this is going to be the equator, wherein you can see most of the area is going to be the thick forest area. It is well known, popularly known as the Amazon forest, what you call them. Amazon forests are going to be present in this equator region, that is, which is present near the equator. Then, coming to here, we could see that tropical Amazon forest, that is tropical rainforest, which are present in South America, is the greatest biodiversity on earth. Tropical Amazon rainforests are present at the equator region. If you just go through the number of species that are present in this Amazon rainforest, you will be amazed to know that there are around more than 40,000 species of plants, around 3,000 fishes, 1,300 birds, 427 mammals, 427 amphibians, 378 reptiles, and more than 1,25,000 invertebrate species. Remember, this is not the number, this is variety. Variety of species that is present. Forget about the number. Number is very huge. This is the variety that is going to be present in the species. So by this, you can know how rich these Amazon forests are going to be there when we are talking about biodiversity on the earth. Then, why? Why is that this equator region is going to be having more number of species when compared to the polar, that is your temperate zones? The reason is here. 3 reasons were identified for highest biodiversity species in the tropics. Why there is more number of species present in the tropical region only? For that, 3 reasons were identified. 1. Tropics had more evolutionary time. What is happening here? When we are talking about the North Pole and the South Pole, due to the rotation of the Earth around the Sun and also around its axis, the North Pole and the South Pole are going to be having 6 months of day and 6 months of night. Due to this, it becomes difficult for the organisms living over there to develop or to evolve. They are fighting for their survival itself, first of all. Forget about the evolution. So, tropics when compared to that are getting more evolutionary time when compared to the temperate. Then, we can see that relatively constant environment is going to be there into the tropics. When we are talking about the temperate, here we can see 6 months full sun is going to be there and 6 months full night. Because of which there is going to be a drastic change in the season. Whereas in the temperate zone, we can see that the seasonal variations are minimized. If you are going specially to the equator region, I can tell you, in there, in one day itself, in the morning if it is going to be your winter season, very cold, in the afternoon it is going to be hot sun, and in the night again rain is going to be there. Because of the rain, again in the morning winter is going to be there or cold is going to be there. So in one day itself they are experiencing all the 3 seasons, and this type of climate is going to be present throughout the year, same. Because of that, the animals and plants have got adapted over there, they have learned surviving, and hence they are getting more evolutionary time. Then the third reason may be they receive more solar energy which contribute to greater productivity. Sun is going to be the source of energy. So it can be said that these areas are getting more amount of sun, because of which their productivity is more, and because when the productivity is more, automatically the number of organisms living over there can also be more. These 3 can be the reasons why biodiversity is more in the tropical zones when compared to the temperate zones. First one is tropicals had more evolutionary time. Second, relatively constant environment. And third, they receive more solar energy which contributes to greater productivity. Then, this was going to be the first pattern of biodiversity, that was the latitudinal gradient. The second over here is going to be the species area relationship. According to the study of Alexander von Humboldt in South American jungles, within a region, species richness increases with increasing explored area, but only up to a limit. Here, what is happening? I will tell you. Alexander von Humboldt was a person, you can see over here, he discovered he was doing and research on the South American jungles, and what he found out was, suppose we are going to be having a region, suppose I am having a region and I start from here. When I start from here, as I am going inside and inside, here less number of species are present, here more number of species are there, here maximum number of species are there. What he says is, species richness increases with increasing explored area. As we are going further and further in the jungle or into an area, the number of species are going to go on more. Until when? Until only a limit. When we are reaching the center of the jungle, only till that time the number of species will be more. But again after that, as we go further, again the number of species, what will happen? It will decrease. So according to Alexander von Humboldt, he gave us the species area relationship, according to which in a region, if we go on exploring, suppose we are going to be going into a region, in a region we are going on exploring from one place, as we are going inside, the number of species will increase. But until a certain limit, that is until we reach into the middle, you can say. Once we are reaching over here, after that, again if we continue moving, the number of species will decrease. So species richness increases with increasing explored area, but only up to a limit. This was given by Alexander von Humboldt in the South American jungles. Then, this relation between species richness and area so now what we are taking, the species richness and area. If we are going to be plotting it onto a graph wherein the species area is taken on one axis and the area is being taken on the second axis, then it is giving us a rectangular hyperbola. What do you mean by hyperbola? This is going to be a hyperbola, you can see over here. It is a rectangular hyperbola. So when we are plotting the species richness against the area, we are getting a rectangular hyperbola. This rectangular hyperbola can be given a formula, that is S is equal to Ca raised to Z. What is S here? S symbolizes species richness. C is the y-intercept. Z is the slope of the line, that is regression coefficient, and A is going to be the area. How the derivation and all is not there for your study. Only remember the formula. When we are plotting the species richness against the area, it is giving us a rectangular hyperbola with a formula S is equal to Ca raised to Z, where S is species richness, C is y-intercept, Z is slope of the line, and A is area. Suppose we want to plot this on a logarithmic scale. The relationship is a straight line. So when we are putting it on a log scale, it is going to be giving us a straight line. And on the log scale, or on the log scale, we can write the formula. This formula can be written on the log scale as log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. So that is again same. S is species richness, C is y-intercept, Z slope of the line, and A is going to be the area. Then generally for small areas, Z value is 0.1 to 0.2. What is Z? Z is going to be here. So Z is going to be nothing but your slope of the line. So when we are talking about a smaller area, then this Z value is going to be 0.1 to 0.2. But when we are talking about a larger area or a big area, that is like something like an entire continent, then the slope of the line can become steeper. That is, this can become more steeper, or curve can be more. So that value can go up to 0.6 to 1.2. There is an example for this. For frugivorous birds are nothing but fruit-eating birds. For fruit-eating birds and mammals in the tropical forests of different continents, the Z value is 1.5. So only remember here, if we are taking this Z value for a smaller area, in a small area, then it is less, 0.1 to 0.2. But if we are going to be taking it for a large area, like an entire continent, then the Z value is going to be more. Example for that is going to be the frugivorous birds and animals. Because for these frugivorous birds and animals, the Z value is 1.5. This much you remember. So this is going to be about the patterns of biodiversity, that is latitudinal gradient and species area relationship. In the next class, we will be studying the importance of species diversity and what are the reasons for loss of species diversity. So this much is enough for today. In my next video, let us see about the importance and the loss of biodiversity.